Julie Gunlock of the Independent Women's Forum. Thank you for coming in studio again. It's great to see you today.
Thanks for having me.
It is my pleasure. By the way, Julie and I recorded another episode of the Bespoke Parenting Hour podcast, which I don't think has run an actual hour yet, but we're working our way up there. So make sure you check out IWF.org. That'll be going up before long. In the meantime, you've been very busy. You've got pieces all over the place of the Daily Caller, Independent Women's Forum website itself. In fact, you get a piece at IWF in the blog there. The Washington Post, you say, ran a story about women in the White House and their struggle to be taken more seriously among the West Wing Boys Club. And so you say, according to the story, there were certain female staffers who felt like they weren't being heard, they weren't being taken seriously in meetings with the boss, so to speak. And so they developed this strategy of amplification. What is this strategy, Julie? I don't think I've ever run across this before.
Oh, yeah. So first of all, let's just ponder for a second that this happens in the White House with all these brilliant progressives. I mean, I'm astonished, right, that women aren't heard in the White House, like that they don't feel like they're. I mean, that alone is kind of interesting, right? But apparently, yes, it's a huge problem. Yeah, apparently, this is a huge problem. They are not heard in meetings. They felt like they were talked over, and so they started this process by which, if one woman said something, all the other women, and this was agreed upon, like they kind of came up with this strategy that all the other women would nod, and agree and repeat what was just said. So if a woman says, I think we should raise taxes, another woman which I'm sure they say that all the time in the Obama White House, and so another woman in the room will go, what Sheila just said about raising taxes is a good idea, because they made the point that you actually had to say the name of the woman who made the comment for fear that one of the boys in the boys club would take credit for the idea. So it was...
So like Sheila would say, I really think we should raise taxes, and then 3 minutes later be like, well, when Brad said we should raise taxes, right?
No, that's not how it works.
Is that just how...
You're messing it up. Okay, so then Debbie goes, Sheila's idea to raise taxes is really good. Okay, so... And so, of course, the Washington Post writes this piece about how great this is, that these women are supporting each other. And, and again, it was made pretty clear that it didn't really matter what was suggested. If it was said by a woman, the other women in the room had to sort of repeat it and agree with it and cheerlead for the woman. And, I'm sitting here thinking, what if she says something completely moronic? Okay, what if you don't actually agree? I mean, it's sort of like inviting groupthink, which I think is not good in that kind of environment when you're trying to work through policy initiatives and come up with good ideas. The idea that you just automatically agree with Debbie and Sheila, seems a little silly and anti-feminist and anti-free thought.
I wonder if there's the process of amplification. Is there also the process of, I guess, dampeningnification, whatever the opposite of amplification would be. So just, Brad, that's a dumb idea.
Yeah.
Brad, that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard. Yeah, Brad. I think I've seen that Allstate commercial. I know. It's the girl who wrecked her car and she loved him and she called him Brad. And I just saw that commercial before I went to bed last night. So sorry, Brad, but you get the short end of the stick today. Does that happen all of a sudden? Do we need to not just amplify Sheila's ideas, but do we have to vote down Brad's ideas so that Brad is afraid to speak up? Maybe Brad tried to take credit for Sheila's ideas. And why all of a sudden does the White House sound like a soap opera, Julie, instead of a place where the nation's business, right? Where the national interest is actually considered.
No, but I also, I find this all so pathetic that these women who have reached a pretty high level professionally need to come up with these ridiculous schemes to support each other. I mean, grow up and
well, listen, clearly you don't know what a hotbed of sexism the Obama administration White House is. Apparently, that's the right.
I guess not. I guess it really is tough there. But again, just this idea that they're encouraging women to support women's ideas, not because of the idea, but because they're a woman, no matter what she says. And I actually put in my piece, I said, no matter what is said, hey, let's, I don't remember the list, but I ended with, hey, let's bring prayer back to schools. I mean, are we all just going to agree with that, right? people's values, or people should be valued based on the, if their idea is good, not just because a woman said it. Again, I find these
I think Julie has a very good point here, Julie. That's a very good point you make, Julie. Good point.
So took me a few seconds to get that, Cam, but I see what you're doing there.
It's hard to amplify in a meeting of two minds. There's no, but that's what I was trying to do.
Got it. I feel validated.
Validating what you have to say as well.
Yes.
You're welcome. Daily Caller. All right, moving on. Topic 2, Daily Caller. The nuisance of alarmist litigation. So we've talked about the culture of alarmism quite a bit. But how does the culture of alarmism then relate to litigation? How does this end up in the courtroom? I thought the culture of alarmism was all about don't eat this, don't eat that, don't buy that. You're a bad mom if you feed your kids this and that. How do the lawyers get involved, Julie?
Yeah, it's interesting. Look, it's really saturated every aspect of our culture, from from the food we eat and mothering and parenting, and I talk a lot about those things, but we are starting to see it in lawsuit abuse. And I was actually out in California this week speaking at an event, the Civil Justice Association of California, CJAC, great organization that really works on this stuff. Look, nuisance legislation is another word for frivolous lawsuit, right? It's when people sue, and it's usually it's backed by some sort of activist organization where they can fund these lawsuits, but they get someone to file a lawsuit. And so you're starting to see, and we've seen this talked about with, if someone is shot, they sue the gun manufacturer. It's that kind of stuff. Trying to take it back to suing these people that really have nothing to do with it. And there's a case out in California several years ago. A judge ruled that paint companies that several decades ago produced paint with a lead pigment. Now have to go in and remediate thousands of homes in California, and essentially deeming these homes that have lead paint in them to be a biohazard. So it has a lot of implications. This ruling that this judge made has incredible economic implications, and it also it gives people this false impression that they're living in a dangerous house. Look, if you live in a house with lead paint, I do. You just have to keep the paint covered. Lead paint doesn't hurt anybody when it's under 14 layers of paint, and it's important that you upkeep your house in that way. But to suggest that you have to strip it off the walls, that actually will create a bigger hazard. And so, this connects to the culture of alarmism because this ruling has gotten a lot of press, and it's telling people that, if I live in my house with lead paint, I'm somehow in danger. And again, the economic costs of this are both in real estate. I mean, what is this going to do when you put your house on the market and you have to disclose that it has lead paint? And also, it could potentially put some industries out of business if they're forced to pay for the remediation of thousands of homes. So again, you see the alarmism now getting into the courts. It's extremely expensive, and it's a very dangerous precedent.
Talking again with Julie Gunlock of the Independent Women's Forum. All right, finally, on a little bit lighter note, I love this piece, actually. You had it acculturated. The Unsung Virtues of the Old-Fashioned Family Photo Album. We've got a couple of photo albums at our house, but our photo album, and actually our stairs that go from the first floor to the second floor, my wife has just filled the stairwell with photos, family photos from not just us, but her parents, my parents, and it's really cool. I find myself just going and looking at these pictures all of the time, and you make the point comparing that, the actual physical photo album that you crack open and you put a picture in and you go through with your kids, with the ease with which we can take pictures on our smartphones. And I have like 3,000 and some odd pictures on my phone, Julie. I've got 60 on my wall. I'm looking at the 60 on my wall a lot more than I'm looking at the 3,000 on my phone.
Of course. Well, I can beat you. I have 10,000. I have over 10,000 photos on my iPhone right now that I have in my bag, right at my feet. I have 10,000 photos that I have never downloaded. I did download another 10,000 photos a couple months ago. I put it. It was too many. I mean, my photo life is such a nightmare. I had to download it to a removable disk, to one of those not removable. It's like a storage thing, okay? And that storage thing, then
like
joined,
a terabyte hard
then
drive,
joined,
external hard drive.
The external hard drive. That one joined the 4 others in the drawer where I keep them, okay? And honestly, I never retrieve them. I've never made albums. I mean, there are tens of thousands of photos I now have.
You don't ever ask the kids, hey, let's sit down and mommy will load up the hard drive. You don't do that?
I'm not kidding you. If my kids saw a baby picture of themselves, they wouldn't recognize themselves. They wouldn't know. There are exactly 12 photos in my house that are framed. That's it, kids. Those are your memories. And it's terrible. It's terrible. And research says that photos actually help kids have memories. My children are not going to remember their childhood because I never display photos. I have no photo albums. I haven't had time to do it. I will tell you this. I am not alone in this. I know so many moms who are in the same boat as I am. They've never developed their photos. They just sit on these external hard drives or on their phones. I can't even tell you the fear I have that I will lose my phone. If I lose my phone, I lose it's probably on the cloud. Who knows? But I will lose months of photos and memories. So yeah, technology is great, right? But when you had a camera with 35 exposures and you had to go get them developed, and you got them developed because that was the only way you saw the photos, then you were sort of forced to buy a photo album because you didn't want them laying around, or a photo box or something, or putting them on slides. That doesn't exist now. I can just carry it around. And as such, my children never see the photos. I know first world problems.
Do you really take like 7 photos before breakfast?
Oh, I'm ridiculous.
I guess we have like 10,000 pictures.
I'm ridiculous. And I talk about that in my article. You know, my mother would sort of steady herself and take a proper photo. Not me. No. Why would you? Why? Because I can take 20 photos and then pick out the best one, but I never do. I keep the 20 photos on my phone. I never clean them out. Anyway, I know these are first world problems, but I'm
taking a picture of you right now, by the way. I just want you to know that.
It's the struggle is real.
Talking.
The struggle is real.
I might actually print it out and get it framed and send to you, and you can put it on your wall.
That'd be great.
Here's one of us in the 2 box.
You are taking a photo.
That's even better. Of course I'm taking a photo.
You got to send that to me.
I'm taking a photo. I will totally send that to you. Listen, like I said, I thought it was a great piece. And the thing is, it's a pain to start, especially when you've fallen behind like this, but it's never too late to give your kids their childhood
back. Listen
to
you,
Julie,
giving me, look at you, giving me that little bit of that push to get it done. Thank you, Cam. I know what I'm going to do on the way home.
Buy a photo printer and some ink, and you can do it, Julie. That's a great idea, Julie. Julie has a great idea.
You are a motivational speaker.
Validation. Amplification. You go, girl.
This has been the best day ever.
All right. It has been. I really appreciate you coming on the show. Sincerely, I do. I love having you on. It's fantastic. And look forward to doing this again very soon.
Okay, I'll see you next week.
All right, Julie Gunlock. Make sure that you check her out at iwf.org. That's the best place to find where everything that Julie is writing in all of these different publications. We'll talk to Julie again very soon.